All right, quorum being present, call the December 11th meeting of the planning board to order. And first order of business is a public hearing on 7 changes to our ordinances. And make that 10 because some of them are solar energy conservation. And Emily will make the presentation.
I have copies for all of you, just in case you didn't look at the PDFs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So these are copies of all the sections of the current land use ordinance that require amendment to comply with LD 2003, which is also commonly referred to as the state housing law. The ORC has been working on this since, well, for like a year and a half, but in earnest since about April. Most recently, the state updated the amended final rule in early October. So using that, we were able to finalize the ordinance language that you see before you tonight. LD 2003 kind of has 3 main components, if you will. The first is allowing for what's called accessory dwelling units. So those units that are smaller than the main house. There is a second category, if you will, that's tied to allowing for additional dwelling units to be constructed on a property, so long as it complies with all our standard dimensional requirements. So lot area, lot coverage, setbacks, etc. And then the third bucket, if you will, is tied with long-term affordable housing developments. So if someone came in with a development that proposed units to be held in long-term affordability, so they had a 30-year covenant, they are rented or sold to those that are income qualified at a rate that it meets affordable standards for our area, that they would be eligible for a 2.5 times the density bonus, as well as a reduction in minimum parking requirements. So I'm happy to go through any specific questions you may have about the ordinance language changes itself, or answer questions about LD 2003 generally.
Any planning board before I open it up? All right, any questions from the public? That was long. There being no comment, go ahead with your name, sir.
Yes. Peter Wells, former resident, working with Wisconsin Neighborhood Association, and wondering how this may affect the proposed SRO for the church site. And that may be geared toward Emily or anyone of the planning board members.
That's a little hard to answer, only because an application hasn't been filed.
I realize that.
And the only thing that I have seen in terms of any sort of development is what's been written in the newspaper. And without an application in front of me, it's a little hard to quantify, because I don't know what exactly they're proposing, other than, again, what's written in the paper. I've seen that they're having a public work session, I guess, I'm not sure what you would call it, this Thursday.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have a commitment, so I won't be able to be there. But when they do file an application, I'll be able to then better assess and actually give you a more thorough response.
So then hypothetically, if someone were to come in and propose 10 SROs in
Good hit, that goes.
that district.
Yeah.
How would the new LD 203 relate to it?
So first I'd have to look at what's the lot size? Can it accommodate the 10? Or with the density bonus, if they are submitting the long-term covenant, that 30-year covenant, and to maintain those units as affordable over a 30-year period and rent to those that are income qualified, I'd next have to assess whether the 2.5 times the density bonus gets them there. Without a site plan or an actual plan, I really can't give you a definitive answer, nor do I want to be held to something that I say here tonight on a hypothetical.
I realize that. All right, so thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any further questions, comments? All right, I'm closing the public hearing on the LD 2003 adjustments to our ordinances, and we'll go to the solar ordinance.
Okay. My next handout for you, this one's a little bit smaller. My copy. Thank you. So while Carl hands out the drafts to you, this one's pretty minor. We were asked by the town manager to assess the solar energy conversion system ordinance, as there currently is a little bit of ambiguity in terms of those ground mounted solar systems that are less than 4,200 square feet in area, where they're allowed to be, and what type of permitting is required. So the ORC believed that the intent was that just a building permit issued by the code enforcement officer would be required, not a full site plan review by the planning board. So you'll see under 16.6.1, we've clarified that a bit more. Again, that's for those systems that are less than 4,200 square feet. If they're larger, they would still trigger site plan review. And then we also clarified allowed locations in terms of these smaller solar systems. So the way it's written currently, it read as interpreted by both myself, Carl, as well as the town manager, that they can only be allowed in the rural zone, no matter the size of solar. So that's been clarified so that roof-mounted systems, either serving a single residential dwelling or ground-mounted systems that are less than that 4,200 square feet, are allowed within all zoning districts. So instead of limiting it to just the rural district, we're expanding where they can go. So that's a very brief overview of these changes that you have in front of you. Are there any questions from the planning board?
Seeing none, I open it to the public for any questions or comments. That's it.
Peter Eaton, High Street, Forest Street. Are you saying that if there were 4,200 square feet available, someone could put solar panels right in the middle of the historic district?
It is a
I'll qualify. We do not have an historic district. We wiped that out several years ago. We have no official historic district.
So even
As far as, we don't have any regulations that govern what can happen in the federal historic
that's
district.
what I meant. We don't have.
We haven't had any regulations as to what goes on there, other than the ones that cover all the towns.
So we're not a federal historic district.
You're a federal historic district, but as far as the town goes, if you want to put up a miniature Luxor Palace, that's fine. No other questions or comments? Hearing none, I close the second public hearing and we'll go to the regular meeting at this point. First order of business is the approval of the minutes of November 27th.
I make a motion, we approve as submitted.
second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comment? Corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous of those who were present. I mean, you're abstaining, right? Because you weren't there.
Yeah.
Yes. Opposed? Not opposed, just abstaining. All right.
I wasn't here last
Yeah,
time.
that's abstaining because you weren't present. All right, next order of business is, Emily, her de minimis findings of fact for Mad Hatter / Seagrass LLC at 291 Bath Road.
Mine continuing to be my bad.
There's just one. Not all here. I'm just
School.
So as you may recall, at the last meeting, we had representatives from Seagrass Group LLC in attendance. They have filed a site plan application. They submitted to you a waiver request, which you granted at the November 27th meeting, to waive the requirements of needing a recent survey as well as all the information that goes into that. And then you also voted to advance this to my desk to review, given that it's less than 2,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet. So I put together, and what you have before you is a draft de minimis site plan review decision. It's a finding of fact, conclusion of law. So I talk about just briefly, the application, what's involved. As you may recall, they are looking to use the Mad Hatter building, which is already operating as a retail establishment. They're going to be moving some product around and using about an 800 square foot part of the building to be a medical dispensary. The property is located in the commercial district, which allows for retail uses, and this building is located within the allowed area for medical cannabis dispensaries per our new ordinances. Looking at the standards for site plan review, either some were non-applicable because there's no exterior changes to the building or the site itself. So things like groundwater protection, erosion control, those are not applicable. Others, I go into details such as, traffic access, that there's no appreciable increase in traffic to be expected. The site already operates as a retail establishment and will continue to do so. As far as water supply and sewage disposal, the existing water supply to the current building as well as the sewage disposal for the building will be utilized, and there's no expected increase. For utilities, the building's already served by central main power, and there's no change to service or upgrade to service required. So given all this information, I approve the site plan application of Seagrass Group LLC, present it to you with the standard conditions of approval that we put on all of these decisions, and ask that you move on, make a decision on that, so that I can sign it.
Does anyone have any questions? I have a motion to affirm her approved decision.
I'll make such a motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor of affirming the decision of fine? It's unanimous. Second one is Acure Brewing. Same thing, but this one's at 111 Main Street.
Yes, pretty much.
Who's building this guy?
Right downhill from the Nicholsville one.
It's kind of the,
The little.
Yeah, narrow building.
Yeah.
it's kind of green and purpley.
Last time it was a business, was a toy shop.
And I think there was a
Is it
gallery.
Lenny's?
Wizard of Odds and ends at one point.
This, you know, that's-
So this one is similar to what we just reviewed, in the sense that you saw them at the last meeting. They requested a waiver from a recent site survey as well as all related documentation to a survey, given that there's gonna be no exterior changes to the site or the building. And because it's less than 2,500 square feet for a change of use. The applicant is Jeremy Myers of Acure Brewing. He currently has a brewery in Booth Bay. He is looking to operate this as a tap room / brewery. He will be brewing most of his beer, continue to do so in Booth Bay. This would be more for demonstration purposes a couple times a year. But mostly he would be serving the beers that he brews off-site. He's looking to utilize the basement / street level as well as the first floor of the pre-existing buildings that's there. And looking to sell beer directly to consumers for on-site consumption, as well as continuing to self-distribute packaged beer to a select few stores and restaurants. So going through the conclusions and looking at the standards for site plan review, you will see that I've highlighted two items, one under water supply, the other under sewage disposal. The applicant, when he was here at our last meeting, said that he has talked to both the water and the sanitary districts, and that there will be potentially an impact fee from the water district. But I've asked him to get that to me in writing. I haven't received it as of tonight, but I didn't know if this was something that we could approve conditioned upon receipt of both of those from, confirmations from both the sewer district and the water district. Everything else, similar to the last application, is in compliance with our standards. For example, capacity of the applicant. He currently operates, like I said, Acre Brewing and Booth Bay. Before that, he owned and operated Bad Wolf Brewing Company out of Virginia from 2013 to 2021 when he sold it, moved up here. He also submitted a business plan for this tap room and brewery as part of his application. Other things to consider, some are not applicable, again, like off-site improvements, groundwater protection, erosion control. For solid waste management, as well as all utilities, he's gonna be utilizing existing services that already service the building.
Any questions? I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we conditionally approve it upon acknowledgement of payment of the impact fees for both the water and sewer departments. Not just hello, but when he pays what they want as an impact fee at that point, I'm happy to approve it.
I'll agree and second that.
Any other comment on that one? All those in favor? And so those, all those opposed? One against. It has passed. Yes, we have to formally approve the ordinance changes to the select board.
Say it again.
You have to formally approve the ordinance changes before and forward into the select board. That's our job. So is
From the
there,
public hearing.
from the public hearing,
I make a motion, since it's my night to make motions, I make a motion, we approve all of the submitted ordinance changes, both regarding housing and solar, and send it on to the selectmen with our approval.
Since it's your night to do that, it's my night to
is there a second?
second.
Tony, you sleeping there? I don't know. If you're up front, we gotta wake you
All
up.
right, is there any comment?
Gotcha.
All those in favor? Motion's approved, forwarded to the select body. I did have other business, but I've forgotten what it was. It's just an announcement or something.
Report of the site visit.
Oh, would you please, yeah, well, we'll have to do it again when they're actually present, but you say your company representative was there.
Yeah, company representative was there. 3 members of the planning board showed up, and there was snow on the ground. The sun was setting at 3 o'clock, but way back in the woods, it was all staked out. There is nobody that has any visibility of this property from any road or any other nearby property. There's an undeveloped property to one side that will eventually have visibility. It's very hilly and very rugged terrain back there. To me, it looked like an ideal use for it because of the terrain and the fact that it has visibility from nobody else.
For the record, Jackie was sick and could not attend, and I examined the site about an hour prior to the planning board because I had another commitment come up with that scheduled time.
You concur with what I said?
I concur 100%.
And it was all staked, and the setbacks were staked, I mean, they did what they had to do. And a representative was there to explain anything. And the gentleman next to me and the gentleman at the head of the table ended up walking into the woods as I got a ride in. And we sent the vehicle back for them, but they were already coming out of the woods. So they get the walking awards
I
for
was
the
gonna say, I
site
would say
visit.
the road right by Stewart's main building there was really slippery. I did quite the dance and didn't go down. And my dog found out he has a big Siamese cat. She loves cats. Siamese doesn't like dogs. All right,
Anyway, that was my observation, that it was a great use for it.
anybody else have any other business coming before the board? In which case, I wish you all a happy Christmas and
I make my favorite motion at 7:18 that we adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor? It is unanimous.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, so we're we've edited it a little bit, so I'm not doing any economic development stuff, just moving out here. But my goal is to like learn and appreciate I know, I don't want you guys to drip on it. I'm sorry. No, I mean, I'll recycle if you don't want it. Okay. Good, she is, she'll be 17 months at the end of December. I know. I know, right? She's a little spitfire, like the best way possible. She's got like a whole personality. She's into everything. She falls and just pops right back up. My second, yeah. So she follows in my son's footsteps, who's 5. So she wants to keep up, so she started walking at 11 months. Kept going, kept stuff. Exactly.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And I'm glad you continued doing this too.
Yeah, I was just telling Carl that, we renewed our contract through the fiscal year, so to the end of June. So Ms. Cassett to work with the planning board and the board.
Thank you so much.
I enjoy working with you.
It's funny, and it's weird. I didn't think about it before tonight, because usually Jack.
Right. And you know, poor thing, she's got, bronchitis.
Basically.
That's a band.
Yeah, my daughter just gave birth last week from it.
Oh, yes, see, that's it. I'm
Yeah.
not getting used.
Oh, thank you.
But she, it's going around to school. We
Is it?
have, in Cooperstown.
Is it?
So
So it's, there should be 4, so that's solar. That's right.
That's what it was designed to have. But it's designed to take a parcel of 9 acres to put it on 9 acres. And it's going to sign a 30.
The ordinance review.
Yeah, sounds good. How many copies? I have 3 sets. Okay.
That's what that
I didn't know here. So there's, so this is a whole set. It starts in Article 2, which is building laws. And then there's regulations, license and permits, which just say that for an Airbnb or short-term rental, that it would need to obtain a business license. So that's a really short one. Then this goes into talking about kind of more development standards. So it's for accessory dwelling units. And then it goes into the additional dwelling unit through here. The affordability piece is, let's talk about permit. And then this is the affordable housing development. So anything in red is the proposed change. And then the final piece that you'll have is the definitions, the glossary section. So where definitions were added or changed. Again, everything's in red, just for
Red is
understanding the proposed, yes, the proposed.
So then, now that you're this one.
So here's that second set if you want it. I think I also double checked, it's on the town website, all the, so if you need to download the electronic.